What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stranglers and Anglers MMA podcast. I'm here with my man James. I'm JJ. Today, we're just gonna briefly discuss a wild UFC 300 event. Now that a couple days have passed, we've kind of, the smoke has settled and kind of clear our heads a bit when we're thinking about it. But man, James, one of the most historic, eventful UFC cards ever, if not the pinnacle.
Yeah, maybe the best ever. I mean, there's really nothing you can say. Like, if you wanted the truly perfect card, you think of a fight like the McGregor Diaz 2 fight, where it's just like, or a Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald fight, where it's like that back and forth brawl for basically 5 rounds. That's like all you can really say, but it's like a 99 out of 100, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it was
There's
it
really
was
nothing you can say, honestly. It was like,
totally.
my mind was like, dude, it was like almost like my brain couldn't take it towards the end. It was like overstimulation.
Yeah, I feel you. We were just talking off air. I couldn't watch it live. I had to watch the event like a few hours delayed, and I started right with the main card, and I finished the main card. I'm like, holy shit, this that felt like it took forever, and
Mhm.
now I'm gonna go watch all the fucking prelims. I can't imagine what it was like watching live, you know?
Oh, just from start to finish too.
Yeah,
Fortunately, I had about an hour delay. An hour. I don't like to go too much of a delay because then you're like I get too like
sure.
antsy and I start fast forwarding and shit and like. But, I had, like, an hour delay, which was perfect because I got through, not even got through, but, like, I watched the first after the Andrade fight, and then I was basically caught up, and, yeah, dude, it was amazing from start to finish, like, the first fight of the night was Garbrandt versus Figueiredo,
Yeah,
and it was kinda sad because it's like, God, it's like Garbrandt looked as good as he's looked in so long standing on the feet. Like, he just looked so good standing up, looked evasive, and then and then it's like all this time he's been trying to, like, figure out who he is kind of as a fighter. He's gotten older, injuries have added up. He was a guy who when he came into the UFC, it's like he's not even thinking about getting taken down. He's so quick and fast, you're just not even gonna come close to getting him down. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
then
I'm
figure
sure he's neglected his grappling a bit over the years.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another very good point. Like he hasn't wrestled really since high school for real. So, yeah. So that just to start that off, and then Bobby Green had an amazing performance. What was kind of funny was everyone was worried about his chin, and I was like, his chin looked horrible. But the thing was that he was just not getting hit that often.
Yeah,
So
they gotta be. It's gonna be interesting to see who they match Bobby Green with up next time because I do like he beat the shit out of Jim Miller, but I still think that he is kind of toast.
yeah, so do I. I mean, he's yeah, I can't. I agree with that. Patty the Batty would be an amazing fight. It'd be
Yeah, that'd be
great.
fun.
It'd be a good chance for Patty to like hype up the name, and Bobby's gonna probably move up a spot or two in the rankings. I mean, I don't know over these next few months
Yeah,
just because of the victory, and that'll put him at like 12.
yeah.
Maybe yeah,
Give me Bobby versus Patty, or if they're like looking to maybe build someone up a little more, give me a Bobby versus Steamroller
yeah.
at
That would be
Frivola.
yeah, that would be a good one.
After Bobby Green, Andrade versus Marina. I mean, I honest to God feel like Marina could win this fight like more than 50% of the time. I
Mhm,
felt like she had an all-time bad game plan here.
mhm.
That fight pissed me off to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I bet because I know you're with Marina. And what's funny is the reasons that I kind of thought Andrade would win were not like present. So like I
Yeah,
totally agree with what you're saying. Like the reasons I thought Andrade would win, just, those weren't the reasons she won. It was like Marina Rodriguez. So the women's fighters, man, that when you get away from that elite level, the game plans and the fight IQ and all that is like sometimes so bad. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's just so bad sometimes. But yeah, it wasn't a bad fight. It was a good fight.
No, it wasn't a bad fight. Marina on my list of people, it's gonna be hard for me to
Mhm.
pull the trigger on again. I'm not gonna say never because there's some matchups there, but definitely that was disappointing to say the least. James,
Yeah,
Hinata Money Moicano pulled it off against Jalen Turner. That was crazy, dude. I mean,
yeah,
Turner all time. Speaking of IQ moment, I mean, all
yeah,
time bonehead move in the UFC to not get on top of Moicano after he dropped him.
yeah,
He was like looking for, tried to point like it was the walk off knockout,
yeah.
but it wasn't. You know what I mean? I mean,
No, it
Moicano got
wasn't.
up quick, and then like he starts pointing to him as he's in front of him standing. It's like, dude, you're proving the ref's point even more. You know what I mean? I mean, this dude, like Makano, he recovered quick enough. I mean, I don't know what Turner was thinking.
So you know how I said I was gonna bet big on this card?
Yeah,
I bet probably $100 total, but I had so many like things that like crossed over and like hedged and stuff. Like I wasn't gonna lose too much. But the one thing that was going to make me lose money was Jalen Turner.
yeah,
And it's just like, he gets the knockout essentially if he just follows that up with one or two shots. But it's Money Moicano's time. Like, and this is also why, like, I don't like betting big because, like, in that scenario, like, I like Moicano more as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? I just
yeah,
thought that Turner would win. Yeah, low IQ moment also because it's like, bro, the guy diced through you on the ground that whole first round. And then when you got up to standing, you drop him and basically have him finished, and you don't finish him, and then he just takes it back down to the ground, does exactly what he did in the like
yeah,
he
totally.
showed you that he's better than you on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
yeah, but
dude,
Moicano's awesome, and it's
yeah,
amazing that he gets to keep this little run he's got.
dude. I mean, he entered the top 10, and like the names in front of him now are Holloway, Fiziev, Chandler, Dariush, Gamrot, Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira,
Crazy.
and so like his
I
next.
thought, sorry, I thought Jalen Turner like was his hardest matchup.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure. And
you know what
I
I'm?
mean, he probably should have lost the fight. Like again, Turner fucked up big time, but credit to
Yeah.
Moicano. It'll be fun to see who they match him up with next because I can't imagine they're gonna. I feel like if they match him up with someone outside of the top 10, it would be Patty the Batty because that way, if Patty wins, he can slide into that top 10 ranking.
Mhm.
Um, and Moicano, like, yeah, they can give him another fight without like sacrificing potentially someone in the top 10 or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
they have a lot they can use him in a lot of ways. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Bobby
I
Green versus Moicano would be a funny fight, but I think Moicano's kind of in that. I think Moicano's in the forward mode more
Mhm.
so, other than Patty the Batty because of the star
Yeah,
power.
totally. But that's really the only other fight in that top 15 that could make sense. Like that's not in the top 10 because like there's rumors of Hooker and Saint Denis is going to happen in Paris. Um, And then he's already fought Dos Anjos and Jalen Turner. So the
Hmm.
only person left from that from 15 to 10 range is Bobby Green. And then
Hmm.
you got he's 15, Moicano at 10. And then yeah, those other 10 guys, like I don't know, fun matchups though, It's
Yeah.
like you can keep skirting your way around it, but like then if he goes if he beats Bobby Green or Patty or someone again, you gotta give him like a top 5 fight, it feels like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what, dude? He is genuinely a very good fighter.
He is.
like,
Yeah.
like at the end of the
Unreal
day,
grappler.
yeah, such a good grappler. I totally underestimated that. I thought Turner would be able to just kind of hold him up a little bit, pull guard and like eventually make his way to standing, and then he hurt him to the body too with like the first kick he threw. If you
Yeah,
remember,
he
yeah,
did, man.
like he did everything I thought with standing, but I underestimated Moicano's top game, especially since he's fought at 145. The guy looks like he gets you down,
Yeah,
and I
dude.
love.
He lands that fucking takedown, like kind of like throw thing that he
Yeah,
does on everybody that he fights. It's crazy.
it is. Yeah, but yeah, great. It's awesome that he's rising star power for
Yeah,
Moicano.
man. Yeah, man. Rising star power indeed. Speaking of, we got Diego Lopez who took on Sadiq Youssef in the fight following.
Oh,
Dude, Lopez is on his way to stardom himself. You know what I
he's
mean?
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny because like that dude does not speak a lick of English, and my dad, casual watcher, I go like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's exciting. These are like two really good prospects. Like these guys could both hold a belt, and my dad just looked at Lopez. He goes like, I don't know why I like that guy. And I'm
That's
like,
hilarious, dude.
there's
Yeah.
just something about him like that. It's like,
Yeah. He looks
and
like he's the lead singer of like the Mexican My Chemical Romance, you know? It's crazy.
my dad said he looked like the Mexican Charles Bronson. And I was like, damn, his
That's
face kind of does look like that.
that's funny. His face
Yeah.
does a little bit. Yeah.
Um, but dude, he is so good. And there's still like stuff to prove, but I feel like the things he has to prove, he kind of like the toughness and the gas tank and all that, he kind of proved it in the Evlov loss. Like where
Sure,
he
sure.
showed like that toughness and that resilience, even though he lost, and that he had a good gas tank, even though he didn't have time to train. And like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, he's a fucking competitor too. Like he's a
Hmm.
savage because he's calling like he won't let up on Evlov giving him a rematch. Like he keeps asking for it. It's like, dude, stop. Like that's not the fight you want. Like I swear, I
No,
promise you, it's like the hardest matchup for you, and they're looking to build you up. But yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna keep trying to maybe give him, not favor. Sorry, my dog's crazy.
you're good.
Maybe some favorable matchups like to potentially build his stardom. Like, dude, when you think about him versus Aljamain Sterling, that would be a banger.
That would be
And I
sick.
think he gives Sterling a lot of problems.
Yeah. There was a fight somebody posted with Diego Lopez, and now I can't freaking remember. But yeah, dude, I think Aljamain Sterling's a great fight for him, but I
Bryce
even think that's
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Somebody said, you know what? Somebody said Calvin Cater versus Bryce Mitchell. I'm like, that would be a good matchup right now.
No,
But
man.
you don't
Yeah,
think so?
maybe. I don't want to. I just don't want to see that after the Aljamain Sterling because I feel
Yeah,
like
the takedown.
very similar. For Cater, I think the fight goes very similarly to the Aljo fight.
Yeah.
Um, After seeing that, I mean, that was like a shockingly bad performance.
Well, man, let me tell
Aljo's
you.
good. Sorry, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
discredit Aljo, but like, I mean, Cater couldn't do anything, dude. He had
No.
no offense, barely any like defense. Just like
Well,
he looked all of 36 and coming off a year and a half ACL layoff.
dude, for some reason in this sport, when dudes have major injuries like ACL, because we watch guys peak after we've seen it happen when they have these major injuries, like for instance, like Yuri's shoulder, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
he looks fine since then. But like ACL injury at Calvin Cater's age, dude, that guy's takedown defense was unbelievable. You're gonna tell me, and then a 135er who's at 135 was an amazing grappler, but was not a great takedown artist. Do you know what I'm saying? Now
Sure, sure.
he looked super filled out and looked like he should be fighting at 145. Like he looked almost as big as Cater, if not bigger, like just as far as being bulky and jacked. But yeah, man, we don't for we look at those types of ACL injuries and those types of really bad injuries in every other sport, and we go, that guy's not going to be the Clay Thompson, Derrick Rose, like the list goes on and on. Where you're just like, well, he's not the same now because of that injury. And in this sport, it's the same thing, but for some reason, fighting's so personal that we don't want to look at it like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's a great
And
point.
yeah, and that's how I feel with Cater. Like he just looked so slow. Timing was off, and then he's worried about the takedown. The guy has had a really, really good takedown defense his whole career, and get ups, really good get ups. When you get his butt down, and then he's right back up,
Yeah.
and it's gone. But he had a huge layoff, so he can make adjustments and see what happens. But
Yeah, that one bummed me out. Even more so just even losing the bet, being so confident on him going into that he would be able to at least stave off, win 2 out of the 3 rounds there. Like it just is a Cater fan. That one sucked.
mhm,
I think it's over for him for the most part, just because like I just it just really it's gonna depend so much on the matchup now.
mhm,
But there are some still in that top 15 that I think he could let it like that I would bet on him again potentially. You know what I mean? That I would maybe give him
yeah,
another shot, but like a lot of it, I'm kind of just scared to
right,
bet on him going forward.
yeah.
we skipped Harrison versus Holm. I mean, I
Oh,
don't really know have a whole lot to say. What do you, and you got anything to say?
I
Yeah.
mean, dude, Harrison is pretty scary. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we'll
she
see.
just
I'm
is.
still not sold.
I'm pretty like I'm sold on that division. Like if Amanda Nunes, she was kind of like she sent put a video out like hinting a comeback. I'm like that would be crazy, but I wouldn't even want to see that necessarily because I feel like Nunes is at a disadvantage. I think Prime Nunes beats her, but now it's like who knows. I don't know if Juliana Pena or Raquel Pennington can handle that.
I think Pennington has a better shot over 5 rounds than Pena does.
Mm,
But I just, with Harrison, dude, I like still am not convinced. Like, I know she made the weight and stuff, but I mean, she looked, I mean, just that weight cut is crazy. And I don't know
mhm,
how much, like, if she's gonna be able to do it successfully every time. Um, and it's just gonna keep taking more and more out of her, especially at
mm.
her age. So I just don't think that she's gonna have some like long, crazy UFC title run or anything like that. Like maybe she fucking stumbles her way into gold right now, but I just can't see her making 135 over and over.
Yeah, that's very true. And it did. She looked rough at the weigh-ins, but man, did it did it like I mean, she looked humongous next to Holly Holm, and
Oh
Holly
my
Holm is
god, the
big
amount of
at 130.
vitamins that Harrison has
Oh,
is fucking insane. Yeah,
she looks like a guy. Like her back and her shoulders and her arms, it looks
it's
like a guy.
crazy. It's
It
fucking
is.
nuts.
It is.
Cool man, Yuri versus Rakic, dude. Your guy fucking did it. That was
What did
awesome.
what did you
Yeah.
what did you think of that fight?
I thought it was, I mean, it was an awesome fight. I thought I thought Rakic was like winning round one and stuff. And the whole time I'm just thinking, like, dude, I know Rakic is winning here and like scoring points and stuff, but it looks like at any point Yuri's gonna be able to start like walking him down a little bit, being a little bit more aggressive. Like it just didn't look like he respected Rakic's power at all.
No.
And Rakic didn't like, yeah, he kicked the leg a little bit, but he wasn't as aggressive with the leg kicks as I was expecting, and he didn't fucking mix in any grappling. And if he wasn't gonna do that over 3 rounds, I wouldn't have bet him. You know what I mean? I just thought
Yeah.
he had a really clear path to victory.
Yeah.
But credit to Yuri, man. It was awesome. What did you think?
Um, First thing that I thought right when I saw Rakic was I was kind of like because I know how fast Rakic is and big he is. Also, he was
Yeah.
huge.
Jack.
Yuri's as big as him, but Yuri just you can tell Yuri's like got about 10 pounds less or 5, 8 pounds, whatever it is, less fat on him. So Rakic definitely had a few pounds on him in there. Um, Rakic is unbelievably fast. Like, that really surprised me, and he looked really good, like, coming off the layoff.
Yeah.
So, I think a big aspect, man, with why he didn't, go for the takedowns is Yuri just putting that pressure on him, and guys who are not, like guys who have good grappling but aren't don't have that, like, 4 years old when I started wrestling, like, foundation.
Sure.
They are scared of grappling a little bit when they feel like they're sucking wind standing. And Rakic, when he got hit at the end of the first round, that takes a lot out of you because then you go in panic mode a little bit. And dude,
Yeah.
that's what Yuri does so well, which is like he just is in your face and he gives you no other option than to either hit him or he's going to hit you.
He's good, dude. And he's so his striking it's weird looking, but it's so good.
It is like the right hand, man. He's got the power, the gift of power, He
Yeah.
really yeah, which is a big. But dude, I was so excited watching in that second round.
Yeah.
Um it and it was like a disdain. It just looks like a man on a mission totally.
Yeah.
Um and I wanted to tell you this so badly, but I couldn't text you. So Yuri on like air on not on Ariel show. It's like at the pre-fight press conferences on Wednesday when it's just the one on or the one when they're just
Yeah, the
interviewing.
media day
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes. He goes, it's like, because Yuri never trash talks, but they asked him about the samurai thing and blah blah blah, and he goes like, "I think Rekic is trying to be a tough gangster, but he really is only regular sportsman." And dude, when he said that,
He cooked him. It's so simple, but he
it's
cooked him.
such it's
Yeah.
such a cook. And right when he said that, I'm like, "Oh, this shit's over, dude." And it was that. It was like, do you wanna face this avalanche, or do you want to, or are you, like, gonna stay on the outside and, try to, like, use technique? It's like, I don't
Yeah.
know, he's so good at just turning that fight into, like, his fight,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I agreed. It was
I
awesome. I have no idea what you do with Yuri now.
Yeah,
But
right.
we'll see. I feel like a couple fights need to happen before um we really know. Yeah.
Ankalaev who's on is Ankalaev gonna fight anyone soon?
That's no one knows. It's either like Ankalaev versus Pereira, or they're like, there's rumors of Ankalaev fighting Jamal Hill.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah, and Yuri's above both those guys in the ranking, so it's like either he fights one of those guys or waits for them to fights the winner, or like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like someone's getting time off in
Yeah.
that light heavyweight
That's
top.
just a good way to say it.
Yeah, it's either going to be Hill, Yuri, or Pereira or Uncle, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right.
On to the main card, nickel versus Brundage. Cashed my nickel by sub round two bet, which was nice. But I mean, I don't know. I think nickel's fucked against someone like Fluffy Hernandez or Jacob Malcoon. I don't think nickel is gonna be this elite guy necessarily, if I'm being honest with you. I think there's some guys that are gonna be able to grapple with him effectively over 3 or 5 rounds.
Yeah, dude, I think that he's just so young in the sport and he's gotten too much like, there's too much. It's almost like the UFC's over promoted him. He would have
Yeah.
been a great one to start the card off with, the prelim.
100%.
You know
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
you're starting him like, you can over promote like they've done with Patty the Batty, where it's like Patty the Batty's over promoted in the sense that people aren't really buying in that he can, like, be a top 5 contender, perennial top 5, top 10 even really, or hold the belt. With Nickel, it's like, dude, he has so much to learn still, and like, he needs another full comeback next April, and then we can start talking about the Fluffy Hernandezes and the Malcoons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Bo was the one who called out Fluffy too, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So it's yeah, I don't know. I don't like
But
when I
of
look at
course he's gonna call him out, he's a fighter, he
sure.
thinks he's gonna win. It's the UFC, just like it's a little bit of over promotion, and it rubbed people the wrong way, especially with how the Yuri Rakic fight happened.
Yeah,
For that being, having to watch Cody Brundage on a fucking pay-per-view UFC 300.
sure.
So, but yeah, I'm still a big believer in Bo Nickel. I just like think that he needs another full year and another two, at least two fights, probably three fights before you even start putting him in with any named guys, like anybody who we know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't feel like there's like a whole lot of options at
Yeah,
185 because of how fast they're pushing him. You know what I mean? I mean 15 at rank 15 at middleweight is Chris Curtis. Fucking make that fight. Wait,
yeah,
give Curtis his year to recover or whatever. Give Nickel his year to get better. Nickel probably wins then, and that there you go. Then you can take it from
yeah,
Nickel's in the top 15.
yeah, right.
Um, James Sarukian versus Oliveira. Amazing fight. Both guys are
Hmm.
so fucking good.
Hmm.
Can't believe Armand got out of that guillotine. That was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say. Like I've been high on Armin for a really long time, and I bet Charles here at plus 190, and at a split decision, that's probably like the bet I would make there every time. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think people saw how fucking good Sarukian is, you know.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully
He's got
they're
great ground and pound.
yeah, hopefully they're
Um,
starting to catch on, you know.
yeah, and yeah, he escaped that choke. He escaped that choke. I thought Charles was gonna still finish him in that, like after he escaped because he was in mount. And then the ref, I'm certainly not saying this was like, oh, this is the reason why Charles lost. But the ref, he had like said something to Charles or something happened. He looked up and it was like he lost focus for a second, and then Armin switched him over, and then Armin was in Charles's full guard. So it went from Charles in mount to Armin in full guard, and I'm like, oh, there it goes, because I knew Charles was just gonna have a lot of
Are
trouble.
you talking, man? He like
First round.
first round? Yeah, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
First round, like right after Armin got out of the choke.
Mm,
I was like, this fight's still over because he's gonna ground and pound him, and Armin's gonna turn over or do some explosive wrestling thing, and he's
go
gonna
up his
snatch the
back.
neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and then it was like he lost. He looked up at the ref, or I can't remember. I'm pretty sure the ref said something to him and he acknowledged it a little bit. And then like 3 or 4 seconds later, Armin flipped him and reversed him, which is really hard to do, or like which is like kind of a beginner. That's like what most explosive athletes do in beginners jujitsu is like there's a guy in mount and they hip buck them, they buck them up, and then
Yeah.
they flip them. You don't really see it happen as much at that high of a grappling level. So that was like the only mistake either one of those guys made the whole fight in the grappling exchange,
Mm.
and arguably what cost the split this, what cost Charles the split decision. So it's kind of crazy how, like what you said, how high level they are. It's like that's the only mistake I could point out, because every other time Charles was doing something on his back that had potential to, switch the fight up, and Armin was doing his job and staying really busy when he was on top. Sometimes the fans, bro, they get so, and you know me, man, I like my strikers, but they get so fired up when a guy's like on his holding a guy down for like 25 seconds. I'm like, bro, you gotta let him. This is
Yeah,
still MMA. You know
totally.
what I mean? And they're like,
The
woo.
fans love Charles, dude.
Oh,
They
they
were
love
trying to swing
Charles.
the fight any way they could, you
They
know.
were, they were definitely. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was like Armin was a prime example of what I enjoy when it gets to the ground, where it's like
Mhm.
he did hold him down. He did use some of those like hold down tactics, but he stayed busy throughout, and
Yeah.
and I think Islam versus Charles. I don't even like consider Poirier versus Islam. People are excited about that. I'm like, bro, this
It's
is
so
not going to be
fucking stupid.
close.
No, yeah, horrible fight. I can't believe
Yeah,
they're doing it. I wish they would. Why can't they just wait another month or two and do Armin versus
yeah. But I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I really don't think I'm wrong about that fight. So
No.
yeah, I think it's gonna be similar to how Habib like ragdolled Poirier, and Poirier caught him with that luck, like not lucky, but he caught him with that overhand and hurt him a little, and that was it.
Islam's gonna do what Benoit Saint Denis did to Poirier, and he's gonna do it without staph infection and without running out of gas and using a lot of energy.
Yeah,
It's way
yeah,
more efficient of a grappler, but it's still like stylistically just a fucking nightmare for Poirier,
yeah,
I think.
exactly.
Not to mention Islam's striking defense is a hell of a lot better than
Yeah, I was gonna say
Saint
that. That's
Yeah.
a huge factor.
Um, but yeah, it was a great fight. Moving on, James, the BMF title changed hands. Max Holloway knocking out Justin Gaethje with 1 second left on the clock. Will be one of the most iconic fights as long as MMA as a sport now.
Hmm.
BMF title, UFC 300, last second knockout, the underdog Max Holloway. Um, yeah, dude, that's the bet. Those are the bets that got me in the green for the night. I texted
That's
you earlier.
awesome.
Texted you earlier in the week. I sent you that Holloway line. It was knockout plus 800. I was like, this line is fucking this is crazy. What are we doing here? So hit that and hit Holloway on the money line. So that felt good.
Dude,
Um,
I had Holloway in the fourth round, or I had Holloway. Maybe it was no, I think it was fifth round finish or fifth round knockout or something. All I know is I had a bet that I hit half. I hit 4 of 8 on, but it was a 9 cent bet for 250 grand. and I hit fucking 4 of 8 on it because I
No,
just like I picked round and finish style and who would win, and I
yeah,
just did it for like 8 fights, and Holloway was one of them, and Yuri
amazing.
was one of them, and then I don't know what other junk I tossed in there, but it was but yeah, dude, literally, and like exactly how we both said it on the podcast, like with how good of a striker Holloway is. We're like, dude, I think he's just a way more technical and skilled.
Yeah,
And he did look a little skinnier than Gaethje in the fight. Like he did look like he gave up a little bit of size, but didn't matter. Um, so fast, mixes
yeah.
up his strikes so well. So
Gaethje couldn't get any reads on him for the most part. It
nothing.
felt like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he balled his fist up and did what Gaethje did a couple times, and he actually that knockdown that Gaethje got didn't count as a knockdown, which I think is hilarious. So Max's streak carries on.
that's bullshit. They have to fix that.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
definitely a knockdown. Um, but yeah, Holloway's etched his name into one of the greatest fighters ever with that fight.
yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
and yeah, dude, and he even took more of a jump as far as superstardom. He jumped from star to superstar with that fight.
Totally, man. I would love to see like Holloway versus Oliveira run it back because that weird ass injury happened last time to
Mhm.
Oliveira when they fought at 145. I don't know. I think that'd be a fun fight.
That would be a good one.
Yeah,
Um, I think Holloway versus Ilya Taporia is gonna end up happening.
I do too. I'm with you. I think that's the fight they're gonna make for sure.
Yeah,
Um, which is an awesome fight. I think Tapuria is gonna beat the shit out of him, but um,
yeah. I mean,
we'll
I
see.
I th- I think also what helped Holloway in that was not having the devastating weight cut to 45.
Yeah.
um, which he would have to do to fight Taporia, which is, not. I think that has an effect.
No, it's getting harder and harder for him, I'm sure, to make that
Mhm.
45. James, moving on. Wiley Zhang took down Yan Xiaonan. I thought this was an awesome fight. I mean,
Amazing.
Yan almost pulled that shit off after getting dominated. Yeah, I mean, gritty fight from both girls. Just fucking the Chinese warriors, dude. The heart on these ladies, unreal. Yan would be fucking an unreal fighter if she had better grappling defense.
Mhm. Oh,
But
she's a great striker.
yeah, her striking is awesome and
Her
like
timing is amazing.
timing, and I mean, she carries some power for that
Mhm.
women's division too. Yeah, just I was just really impressed with both fighters, and I could see Jan getting her way back into a title fight sometime.
I would not even mind an immediate rematch in China.
That would be so cool.
I think that's if you're talking about making money and all that, I mean, I think that's the way to go. But or yeah, I think that's what I'm doing.
They
That's it.
gotta do it in China, dude. Come on.
And
Like,
dude,
yeah,
she had like 3 knockdowns in that fight.
it was crazy.
It was crazy,
And
and
I thought Zhang was toast in like that third or fourth round when it
oh,
started
yeah.
happening. Yeah, then the Chinese vitamins kick in. Eventually,
They did.
you get your second wind and your eighth wind. Yeah.
Yeah, she did have about 25 wins in that fight, that's
Mhm.
very true. But yeah, great fight. It was kinda funny because and Dana mentioned it in the post-fight, the crowd, the Holloway Gaethje fight had just, like, taken so much energy out of the crowd that the crowd was, like, barely able to even react to the chaos that was happening in that fight, and it was just, like, funny. You could hear them, but it was like, "Jesus Christ," so, like, we need to recover after this Holloway Gaethje fight.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's like when they started that one card off with Gaethje versus Chandler. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and then right after, I think it was like Billy Q versus someone, and it was like it was a barn. I think maybe Shane Burgos maybe was someone.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
barn burner of a fight, but no one fucking remembers it or like
Mhm,
cared about it because the Gaethje versus Chandler went down right before it.
mhm. Yep.
Gaethje stealing bonuses from fighters
Oh,
since
definitely. You know what
2018.
else I think is funny is, Bobby Green totally destroying Jim Miller, like, on the scorecards, putting on a masterclass, and then with, like, 40 seconds left, pointing to the center down like Max Holloway did. and then basically knocking out Jim Miller, but it didn't happen. Like he knocked him
Yeah.
down. And it's just funny how like he did all the same things Max did,
No one
but
was talking about it though. Yeah.
nobody cares now. Like that's so funny because it was
Totally.
everything was the same, but just little details weren't the same, and that's what made it 50 times more dramatic in Holloway's
Yeah.
favor.
True. True.
Um, yeah, final fight. What were your thoughts on that? That went
I
how
mean,
that went how I kind of thought it was gonna
yeah,
go.
I mean, obviously that's always a possibility. I didn't see it quite going like that. I thought Hill was gonna pose some problems for Pereira. I mean, I don't know what to say about Hill. He looked like another guy who looked like that layoff time away had an effect on their ability, or at least their timing. And I mean, he just looked awful in there. Could it like he was like landing on Pereira and stuff, honestly. But it was similar to Rakic versus Yuri, where it just after like 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, I feel like this is just a matter of time,
Mhm.
you know?
It's
Or after
the
like a
it's the
minute, you know? Yeah.
it's the stalking that
Yeah.
Pereira and Yuri do, where it's like they're just like stalking this guy, and
If
this
you
guy's
can't
throwing
yeah, like if you can't
pebbles at him.
visibly frustrate them or rattle
Yes,
them or rock them a little bit, they're just like they're gonna walk you down. Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna walk you right in. Yeah, and I mean Pereira, dude, is like, where do you rank him now all time?
It's too hard to tell
It is.
because he hasn't really fought a grappler, if we're being
Yeah,
honest with you, like with each other. Like him versus Ankalaev or him versus Krylov would be pretty awesome to see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. He has an unbelievable resume at this point, as far as how long he's been in the UFC. Um, if he wins a third belt, if he beats someone like Aspinall or like beats someone like Ankalaev and then Krylov, something like that. Then we could start. I mean, then we start talking about the best of all time.
yeah,
If he beats Aspinall somehow, you know what I mean. I think he has an argument right away.
yeah. It would be between him and John Jones if he beat Aspinall,
Yeah, it's
which
fucking
is
crazy to think about.
crazy. But
Yeah,
then, and I understand what you're saying, where it's like too hard to tell because then if he goes against Ankalaev or Aspinall would be more, you'd accept it a lot more. But like Ankalaev, and he just gets ragdolled, that's going to be put on paper, and then he could go on a big losing streak.
sure.
Like
Yeah,
he's still super prone, but it's like you said, his resume's so hot. Like he's beaten like 5 Hall of Famers up
yeah.
at this point.
And like, dude, the matchups at 205 are way easier for him than like 185. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So if he stays at 205 specific, like, I mean, Ankalaev sucks. Like, that's a tough one. Krylov is tough. But overall, the grappling level in that weight class is not near the 185
yeah, and you know what?
contenders.
That weight cut, man, at 185, like something I always noticed, but I never really thought to say it because I'm like, I'm reading into it too much. When he would get hit at 185 by anyone, it looked like it did have an effect on him. Whereas at 205, between the Yuri fight, the Yan fight, and now Jamal Hill, it's like, dude, his chin is just
Feels
good to
sturdy.
go,
Yeah.
good to go, and
Yeah.
that
It feels
bone,
sturdy.
whatever that bone density is in that guy's body is
It's
something.
wild, man.
Dude, what is that punch? That, like, left hook uppercut. It's
It
like,
like
what is
barely
that?
landed, it looked like, too.
3
It
knuckles landed
sent him to the
on the front
fucking
of his
gulag.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 knuckles on his face where it's, like, not even the jaw
Yeah.
or the side of the
It was
head.
annoying. My picks were overall, my money line picks were horrendous. I just got saved by Holloway knockout and Figueiredo sub and nickel
Yeah,
sub. But like Hill was a shitty bet, like Racket's shitty bet.
yeah.
Yeah, it was I will say, but I did like the fan in me, like Hill and Rackets losing was kind of awesome. You know what I mean? Those guys kind of piss me off sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking match those two up with each other now, both coming off a loss.
That is a great fight.
Yeah, fuck it.
That is a great fight to just throw together. Real quick, the last thing I wanna ask you, um, Where would you rank these four knockouts in order? So this is good. It's tough, but just
Lay it
like
on me.
off the top of the head, Max Holloway Gaethje, McGregor Aldo, Masvidal Askren, um, Vitor Belfort, Anderson Silva.
Silva Belfort 4, Holloway Gaethje 3. Um, this is where it's harder for. I think I go Aldo, McGregor at number 2, and
Yeah,
I would do Askren versus Masvidal at 1, just because that was the most shocking one to me.
yeah,
Still, like even though the McGregor one is like maybe the most important one in UFC
yeah,
history, I think the Masvidal Askren one was like the most shocking one.
yeah.
How about
I'm
you?
kind
What do you think?
I am almost dead on with you. The Holloway one got me thinking with the BMF belt on the line. If I would put the McGregor Aldo one first because of like what you said.
Yeah,
But the Masvidal Askren one, the craziest thing about the Masvidal Askren one that everyone forgets about is the fact that Askren was undefeated and just destroyed everybody
yeah,
prior to that. Like people were like Askren versus Habib. That's what we want. Like, do you remember that? Like that's
yeah,
what
dude.
everyone at
Askren said he was
160.
gonna take Khabib's back and chant USA as he ripped
Yeah,
Khabib.
that would not have happened in hindsight. But that's how high level like his
Yeah,
resume was up to that point, and then just have a dude sprint at a veteran like Masvidal sprint at you with the knee. Yeah, that was insane.
crazy.
But I'm with you. Vitor Anderson 4, and then I think yeah, you got to go Holloway, Gaethje 3.
I think those are all amazing picks, just as 4 for like being the 4 best of all time. The only one I would maybe like, I would art like slot for me personally, I would slide Vitor Anderson out, and I'd slide in um Henderson versus Bisbing.
Yeah.
Just on a personal level, because I watched that one live at UFC 100,
Oh,
and
that's crazy.
probably like still to this day maybe my favorite knockout.
Yeah.
And then but like I think the Tapuria versus Volkanovski one we're gonna look back. People are gonna look back on like really um fondly of as
Mhm.
well. I mean that was an all time knockout. I think in
Yeah.
my opinion too.
The only thing that takes away from that one is the Islam Volkanovski fight
Great point. It's great.
prior
Yeah,
to it.
sure.
The other one that I was thinking about was Adesanya Pereira 2.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
sure.
But yeah, there's so many, but I think that is a good four to like say like this is
Yeah, no, totally.
yeah.
Totally.
But yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to ask you. Yeah, dude, fucking amazing card. I'm like, I've watched at least two or three fights from each of the like from the card
Yeah.
every night
Nice. Yeah,
since
rewatch
it
it. Yeah.
happened.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
just like rewatching all of them. So yeah, dude, it was
Yeah, man.
incredible.
It was we were treated to a hell of a night, and then we got the return of Conor McGregor announced,
Yeah.
as well as the dud of Islam versus Poirier, but an awesome fight of Strickland versus Costa. So
Mhm.
some cool things on the horizon. James, we'll be back at it for UFC 301, man.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Good talking with you, dude. Thanks for listening, y'all.